Welcome to the Liverpool Talking newspaper for the week ending Saturday the 9th of February. This is issue number 1872. I'm Peter Lynskey.
I'm Pat Fearon.
And I'm Hilary Lynskey.
And Mary Andrews can't be with us today. I don't think we ought to divulge what she's actually doing.
Oh, don't you think so?
We'll let her tell us next time we see her.
I think she'd rather tell you when it's over.
Yes, I think so as well.
Yes.
Right. Well, we're in the month of February. I had my umpteenth birthday again on February the 4th, and it's been awful weather. We've been snowed in, we've been
skating everywhere,
thawed out, and we're waiting for the spring, aren't we?
Oh,
but
well, daffodils in the park
Yes.
this morning, and Pat's got lovely snowdrops in front of her house. Yes, it's
I've got quite a lot.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
Not many at the back. They don't seem to like the soil at the back.
Oh, they're funny, aren't
Well,
they?
it isn't really soil. It's rubbish from when the houses were built, with concrete put over it. Well, that's what I inherited.
Yeah.
And we've got to talk quietly today because Pat was imbibing last night, weren't you, Pat?
She was enjoying herself.
No, my
and
my
she's
head's
paying
pretty,
for it today.
No, it's pretty clear now, but I got up and I knew I had to be able to open the door to the man who brings the food, because I'm getting Wiltshire foods, you see. So I just sat in the chair nearest the front door, like this.
Not moving.
And he came and I took the things and I put them in the freezer, which only takes seconds anyway.
Yeah.
And I sat down again and slumped.
Relaxed. Yeah.
And about an hour later, I'd drunk a full pint glass of water and I was feeling better.
Oh, well, that's great, right.
Have you done anything exciting since we were last here, Pat?
Well, don't you think last night was enough excitement?
Well, yes.
No, I haven't really. I'm being very boring at the moment, aren't I?
I think January tends to be...
It's hibernation time,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
You know, so you don't want to go anywhere or do
Well,
anything.
having said that, we did go.
Oh, yes. Well, we went to Stratford-on-Avon to see a couple of plays. We went to see Timon of Athens, didn't we? And,
Wow.
Which we've never ever seen before
No, I've
anywhere.
never seen it either.
And actually enjoyed it. Didn't
yeah, and despite the fact that Timon was played by a woman,
Oh, they keep
yes, they keep on doing things like
Yes,
that,
but
don't they?
in this instance, it did work because it was a lot to do with jewellery and treasure and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it actually did. It looked right and it felt right. It didn't feel odd, put it that way.
It's not like a lady playing Othello, is it, Pat?
No.
No. So that worked. And we saw Christmas Carol, didn't we? And I thought, gosh, how many times have we seen that? But it was really fresh and enjoyable. We really enjoyed it. And the weather, we were lucky because we went before the weather arrived, so it wasn't too bad at all, was it? And then we went to see, was it Roy Orbison and Friends?
At the Brindley in Runcorn, yes.
Which wasn't actually Roy Orbison, I hate to say. No, it was, what's his name, Barry Steele.
Barry Steele. Gentleman was from Birmingham, but he was putting on quite a convincing American accent as well.
It was good, wasn't it? They were very good. I mean, he had a band, and they were really, really good, and it was quite lively and entertaining. So, but other than that, we've been hibernating really, and then
No.
yeah.
Right, that it? Anything else, Pat? Anything else to report, or shall we start the magazine?
Well, I have been using some time to rehash some of the little booklets of poetry that I've written.
Oh, something useful.
And
yeah.
I did put them on display at Christmas at the two places where I do poetry reading, and I made £100.
Oh wow, that's
So
really
put an
good.
extra tenner to it, and I gave it to Marie Curie.
Oh, lovely.
I do it in memory of Angela. I don't do it every year. Well, sometimes I'll do it for some special occasion. But, you know, when you say, you know, this is my daughter who died in 2006, you know, and there's a sort of, oh,
Yes.
and they all put their hands in their pockets.
Of course, yes, of course.
Well, I mean, that's the point of the exercise.
Yes. But they want to do something nice. Yeah.
so they're usually very generous.
Oh, well, that's lovely. That's lovely.
I had something that happens once every blue moon. I emailed my cousin in America.
Canada, dear.
In Canada, sorry, yes. Well, that's part of the Americas, isn't it? Canada?
Yeah.
And, and
Not real America, but...
I wished his wife happy birthday because her birthday's a week before mine, and I actually got a reply.
Well, yes, but we were worried about him because we didn't hear anything at Christmas. So this is why that's sort of particularly important, because you think, oh dear, what's wrong? But turns out he was just a bit forgetful.
Yes.
And busy, which is good,
I know
isn't it?
forgetful, yes.
Busy is good. Yeah.
Well, let's jump into the magazine, shall we? And we'll start off with Hilary with
the Liverpool Philharmonic, Thursday the 14th of February at 7:30. Valentine's Classics, conductor Stephen Bell and singer Lance Ellington. A night of film music and songs appropriate for Valentine's Day. Saturday the 16th of February at 7:30, John Lill at 75, and that's Kerngerl Schonspiel Overture, Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto No. 1, Gary Carpenter Ghost Songs, and Britain's Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. Conductor Michael Seal and John Lill CBE at the piano. Tickets for this are £15 to £45. Sunday the 24th of February at 2:30, Haydn Variations, with Brahms Variations on a theme of Haydn, Wagner Wesendonck Lieder, Schubert arranged by Peter Gulk, and Andante from Symphony No. 10 and Beethoven Symphony No. 7. Conductor Carlos Calmon. Again, tickets £15 to £45, 709 3789. And the Everyman from the 19th to the 23rd of February has a play called Caroline's Kitchen. That's £10 to £30. Tickets from 709 4776. And the Empire, 14th to the 16th of February, has the Russian State Ballet with Giselle, La Fille Malgarde and the Nutcracker. Tickets from £13. And then 26th of February to the 9th of March, The Bodyguard with Alexander Burke. Tickets from £12 on 0844 871 3017, and there's lots more things on what's
Next
on.
we
in
have
the
the birthdays for February, and to Janice Neville, Mark Bell and Joyce Gent, or is it Gent? Belated birthday for Janice on the 1st, for Mark on the 4th, and for Joyce on the 5th. Happy birthday to you. I hope you had a good one. And coming up on the 11th of February is Ronald Alexander. On the 12th of February are both Patricia Proctor and Jane Berry. I wonder if you're the same age as well as the same date. And for Amy Goodwin on the 19th. Wish you all a happy birthday for February.
Happy birthday.
And we also have a new reader, or a new listener, Philip Dickinson, and we'd like to welcome him to the Talking Newspaper, and we hope we don't put him to sleep for the first time. So, that's it. And next, we're going over to Pat, who's going to do
I'm going to do some sonnets, because I've got my book of sonnets with me, that's why. Why is it that the sonnets seldom tell of woman's love for men? Few poets write on masculinity, or dreaming dwell in loving detail on the beard, delight to trace the smoothness of the shaven cheek, the lurking dimple, or the chin's deep cleft, depict erotically the male physique. Is it that no female pen is deft enough to make a hairy chest appear a lovely sight, encompass readily how a bulging bicep is held dear? Why don't more women weave such poetry? It's not effeminate to admire her lips, so why unfeminine to praise his hips? That's one sonnet. Oh, you have to take sonnets seriously, you know. Now here's another one. The Might Have Been. When you said, I love you, such joy sprang into brilliance as I had never thought could be mine. Fiercely my heart caught the moment, exultant my spirit sang. Dreaming I have lived again the sweetness, fashioning my memories to its fire, letting the repetitive desire sweep me each time to new completeness. Why then could I not let my halting tongue warm you with the knowledge of that flame, bathe your whole awareness in that same delirious delight? For now I long to say, I love you too. But time's cold touch has made me safe. I might have said too much. And I'll give you another sonnet. Same theme. There might have been. When you said I love you, you declared stifled feelings I had thought were mine alone till then. I drank the draught like wine. Instinctively I answered, unprepared. When I said, I love you, in reply, I gave away a little of my soul and self-respect, abandoning my goal of right behaviour. Now, I'd fain deny the truth our hearts spoke then, and yet I dare not burst the bond between us, lest I break my own heartstrings with yours and maim us both. But whole, I hurt you, wanting you though loath to consummate our love, since that would make us less than that ideal for which we care. Can I do one more? Or is that too many?
One more. One more.
One more with feeling.
Okay. So, love again. When you said, I love you, I was hurled headlong on a heaving wave of light, spun in glorious galaxies of bright starbursts, transported to another world. Yes, I said, I love you. I was swept on surging seas of happiness, suffused in glowing rainbow certainties, refused to harbour any doubts, and conscience slept. This was the heady stuff of high romance, of pleasure taken at my heart's commands, of sensuous response to the demands our bodies made at every furtive chance, until, as each new added sordid details soured us both, we left our love to fail.
And there's Pat Fearon unburdening her soul there and leaving behind a whole file of broken-hearted elderly gentlemen, sublime to the core, blimey, as Hilary jumps into great operatic disasters.
This is Tosca, San Francisco Opera, 1961. One must remember that Tosca is very often the Cinderella, the last opera of the season in a big opera house. This is because it is thought to be an easy opera. There are in fact only three principals: Tosca, Cavaradossi and Scarpia. Looked at from the point of view of an overworked producer under great pressure, 90% of the battle obviously lies in the principals knowing the work. The other participants amount only to the first act chorus, some rehearsal needed here, the second act choir, off stage, thank God, and the third act execution squad, no problem, they don't sing. Alas, it is thus that fatal errors, hideous disasters are engendered. On this particular occasion, that innocuous firing squad was composed of hurriedly enlisted and highly enthusiastic college boys from the local campus, totally ignorant of the story and constantly worrying the producer with their, well, when do we come in? What do we do? His answer was an invariable, wait, I'm working with the principals. In the end, a combination of illness and a desperately tight schedule led to the cancellation of the dress rehearsal and the appearance on the opening night of the execution squad itself, only 5 minutes after their first and only consultation with the producer. He was still in a hurry, but felt he had given them enough to go on. Okay, boys, when the stage manager cues you, slow march in, wait until the officer lowers his sword, then shoot. But how do we get off? Oh, well, exit with the principals. This is the standard American instruction for minor characters servants, etc. The audience, therefore, saw the following. A group of soldiers marched onto the stage that stopped dead in its tracks at the sight of two people, not one as they had assumed, a man and a woman, both looking extremely alarmed. When they pointed their hesitant rifles at the man, he at first drew himself up, looked noble and resigned, but then started giving inexplicable conspiratorial sidelong glances at the woman. They pointed them at her, but she made a series of violently negative gestures. But then, what else would she do if she was about to be shot? Should they perhaps shoot them both? But then they would hardly be standing so far apart. Anyway, the opera was called Tosca. It was evidently tragic. The enormous woman on stage was presumably Tosca herself. Solemn funeral music was playing. The officer was raising his sword. Thus it happened. By a perfectly sensible process of logical deduction, they shot Tosca instead of Carabosse. To their amazement, they then saw the man, some 20 yards away, fall lifeless to the ground, while the person they had shot rushed over to him crying, and we must remember that this was in a vivid American translation, "Come on, baby, get up, we gotta go." What could they do? They had shot one of the principals, though admittedly the wrong one, and their next instruction was exit with the principals. In disbelief, they watched as first Spoletta and his minions burst onto the stage, and Tosca, could it be true, took up her position on top of the battlements. She jumped. There was only one thing for it. As the curtain slowly descended, the whole firing squad threw themselves after her.
Right.
But no
Next
fancy
is
on
what happened on a certain day of the year, the history of the world in 366 days, and this is February the 11th, which will be Monday, wouldn't it,
Yeah.
when you hear this. 1945, the Allied victors carve up post-war Europe on February the 11th. With victory in the war against Germany virtually assured, the three Allied leaders, Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt and Joseph Stalin, had mapped out Europe's future at a secret meeting in the Black Sea resort of Yalta. The three leaders agreed that Adolf Hitler's Nazi forces must accept an unconditional surrender. Post-war Germany would be split into 4 occupied zones, with Russia in control of the whole of eastern Germany. A deadlock over Berlin, which would still be in the Russian zone, is still to be resolved. They also planned the invasion of Japan, and Stalin agreed to declare war on Japan once Germany surrenders. After the war, the old League of Nations will be replaced by new organizations to be called the United Nations. The big three leaders will meet again later this year to complete their plans for the new world body. Also, in 1810, French Emperor Napoleon I married Marie-Louise, daughter of the first Emperor of Austria. In 1800, William Henry Fox Talbot, British physicist best known for his pioneering techniques in photography, was born. In 1858, Benito Juarez is declared constitutional president of Mexico. On the 11th of February 1929, the Vatican City became an independent foreign state. Thomas Edison was born in 1847, the prolific American inventor whose firsts include the electric light bulb. And in 1975, Margaret Thatcher became the first woman to lead Britain's Conservative Party. Big news in 1990 was that Mandela was free at last on February the 11th. He was freed after 26 years in jail for his opposition to South Africa's white racist regime. President F.W. de Klerk unconditionally revoked the 72-year-old black leader's life sentence for treason and sabotage. He was met at the prison by his wife Winnie and a crowd of supporters. Mandela set off to address a jubilant crowd in front of Cape Town City Hall. His message was one of peace, democracy and freedom, but he also endorsed the African National Congress's arms struggle. In jail, he had refused offers of freedom in exchange for renouncing violence. Mandela, a lawyer, became ANC leader in 1949, working under Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Luthuli. The ANC, founded in 1912, was committed to peaceful resistance for 48 years, in spite of the brutal official response to black protest. But when white police massacred black protesters at Sharpeville in 1960, Mandela started a sabotage campaign. In jail, he became the symbol of freedom in the black struggle that has now forced de Klerk's government to renounce apartheid. Also on February the 11th, Mary Quant was born in 1934. A major English fashion innovator of the 60s. 1976, ice skater John Curry wins Britain's first ever gold medal for figure skating. Also born in 1936 was Burt Reynolds, the American actor noted for his tongue-in-cheek style. In 1990, James Buster Douglas defeats heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson after a controversial late count in round 8 when Douglas was floored. And finally, February the 11th, 2012, the death of Whitney Houston, one of the biggest female pop stars of all time. And now, Pat's going to console you with
What's
a
on
Wrinkly
telly
story.
then? To many Wrinklies, the TV is like an old friend that is a familiar object, sitting in the corner, repeating the same old stories you've heard dozens of times before. Plus, once in full flow, it is strangely difficult to switch off. But like an old friend, where would we be without it? Over the years, we've all been through periods where we say, right, I'm going to cut down on my TV viewing. I'm going to read more books, take up a hobby, make an effort to go out, do some exercise, etc., etc., etc. Etc. sounds nice and short, doesn't it? Of course, in the cold light of day, all that stuff seems an enormous faff. And the following evening, you're sharing your leisure time once again with your old mate, Cathode Ray, despite your misgivings. These can be summarised as follows. There's nothing worth watching. It's all repeats. There's too much swearing, sex and nudity. The only thing you can find in the schedules that you want to watch this evening is on a channel you haven't got. Why can't they make programmes like they used to? Why don't they bring back Play for Today, Bonanza, The Price is Right? You, no doubt, will have your own personal wish list. Own personal wish list, the hit list of how to improve TV. But essentially, it all amounts to the same thing. If you were in charge, television viewing would once more be a delight and a highlight of your evening. The great thing nowadays, though, is that you can be master or mistress of your own destiny, or even your own dynasty. I thought that was funny. Almost any TV series worth watching is available on DVD, video, or even YouTube, if you happen to have any truck with such newfangled gadgets. At the touch of a button, you can watch Hancock's Half Hour, The Forsyte Saga, or even Borg winning Wimbledon. The only danger is that one evening, while you were sitting watching an episode of The Waltons and find your mind wandering off to subjects such as what shade of magnolia to paint the skirting board, you realise that not every single episode was a classic after all. You come to the slightly scary conclusion that even I Love Lucy and Bilko may have their off nights. This leads you to think of what else you could be doing with your time of an evening. The Wrinkly is nothing if not resourceful, and can turn his or her hand to anything, from scale models of the Taj Mahal made out of ear-cleaning cotton sticks. Clean ones, I hope. To a lounge Las Vegas using custard creams as gambling chips. When all fails, there is the wrinkly imagination, to infinity and beyond. Yes, with a lifetime of reading experience and the odd bit of daydreaming, the outer limits of the wrinkly universe are boundless. TV, who needs it?
I wonder how many of us wrinklies have still got the old cathode ray tube, or do we all possess flat screen TVs now? Now, a few chocolatey and
Mars bar
sweet
makes
readings.
sweet profit in sale. A Mars bar with a February 1996 sell-by date became an online sensation after it was put up for sale. William Knight, 63, discovered the old treat in his loft when putting his Christmas decorations away. The choc still had its 26p price sticker. The taxi driver of Peterhead in Aberdeenshire posted an advert in a Facebook sellers group offering the bar for a £5 as a joke. Mr. Knight said, "I thought I would do it for a laugh, but within half an hour I had 800 hits and lots of messages from people wanting to buy it. You wouldn't believe it, it just went nuts." Mr. Knight said sold the bar to a sweet collector from Fife who went mad for it and sent a courier to collect it. But we don't know how much he paid for it.
And we don't know whether he ate it either. Here's another one. Cream egg sweet 46 years after first date. A Cadbury cream egg has become a family heirloom after being gifted on a first date 46 years ago. Jean Peters was given the chocolate egg by future husband Dan in 1973, but instead of unwrapping it, she put it in a glass cabinet as a keepsake. Granddaughter Ainsley Peters, 48, took the egg to display in her own home in Kirkcaldy, Fife, when widow Jean died aged 94. Ainsley said, "This egg is something I remember from all my childhood visits to see my gran. Me and my 3 sisters did ask her about it, but she'd laugh it off. Eventually, she told us the story. My gran died in 2010. It was the only thing I asked if I could have. She added, I won't ever eat it. I don't even like cream eggs."
Well, what about Camel's Milk then? Camel's Milk ice cream is to hit our shops. Camel's Milk ice cream is to be stocked in supermarkets for the first time. I was wrong about whether I could read this. Dubai brand Camelicious, I think it says, have created 5 flavours: vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, pistachio and hazelnut. Asda is behind the latest fad after Camel's Milk proved a hit with shoppers, but the premium frozen product comes with a hefty price tag of £2.49 for a small 125 millilitre tub. Yeah. Faiza Akmal of distributor Damasgate in West London said consumers with a cow milk protein allergy can enjoy tasty ice cream without worrying about a reaction. Camelicious, which farms 6,145 of the animals, is owned by Dubai ruler Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. You really needed to know that, didn't
Well
you?
done. Right, well anyway, we managed to get through that, and we'll go on to two or three strange facts. Here we go. Hilary, off you go.
Okay. Viking shoe found in the mud. A beachcomber was stunned when an old bit of tat he found turned out to be a shoe that may have been worn by a Viking. The hunk of leather was identified as a Norse-style moccasin dating from between 1017 and 1059. Steve Tomlinson, 47, called in experts after realising the relic preserved in thick Thames estuary clay might be important. Steve of Birchington, Kent, who is keeping the exact location secret, said, "I can't quite believe it."
Now here's something that you find hard to believe. When the camera is invented, it's Austin family pics found on eBay. A Victorian album bought on eBay for £780 has been found to contain photographs of Jane Austen's family. Karen Levers, 51, was stunned when she looked up at the penciled names under pictures and found they were the author's nieces and nephews. The album was put together by 19th century Irish aristocrat Lord George Hill, who married two of Austen's nieces. I hope not at once.
Maybe he was a marriage
Karen
broker.
of County Clare said it was an important insight, and the family was so important to her, because Jane had no children of her own. Dr. Sophia Hillian, author of a book on Jane's nieces called The Find Remarkable, added, "To see the faces of those I've written about is extraordinary."
Indeed. A rare 20p is now worth £2,200. A coin collector is in the money after finding a 20p piece so rare it's the only one experts have seen. Alan Barker bought the 1990 20p on eBay for £50. But if sold now, the coin would fetch at least £2,200 at auction. What's he waiting for then? Dad of one, Alan, 43, from Hull, isn't going to cash in. He said, "I love the coins, too much to sell it. It's too valuable to me." The coin was likely to have been made in error, as it consists of metals not used in a traditional 20p.
Well, next we have three females and their achievements, and they're at the complete range of the female from the
Brownie
very
on
young to the
58 badges. A girl has become the most decorated brownie in the land by earning 58 badges in 3 years. Amelia Wood, 10, worked for all 57 available, including horse riding and canoeing, but scooped 2 in crafting. Mum, Helen Wood, 41, said she's ended up with 58 instead of 57 because she works hard. When she had to do her canoeing, she was scared of water. Girl Guide leader Helen of Leeds had 35 brownie badges at Amelia's age. Amelia, who wants to be a doctor, said, "Now I'm looking forward to guides to get all those badges too." Oh, well done.
And from a youngster to an oldster. Top Ballerina Award at 81. A ballerina has achieved the highest accolade from the Royal Academy of Dance at 81. Barbara Peters has received the Grade 8 award with a pass rate of 73% with no concessions made for her age. Her exam saw her perform for 50 minutes, demonstrating her skill on the bar and executing 4 solo dances to show technique and musicality. Barbara from Halifax, West Yorkshire said, "I can still do all the powerful dance moves such as the leaps and pirouettes, but I can't do them like an 18-year-old can."
Oh, dear me. Right, what about Betty, 90, then? Betty, 90, is a drama queen. A woman of 90 is still treading the boards after 68 years with her amateur dramatics group and 170 different shows. And I would think probably 170 different deaths as well. Oh my goodness. Betty Perriman took up acting after her parents said she had to work in their hardware shop rather than train to be a nurse. The Horndean Amateur Theatrical Society veteran of Waterlooville, Hampshire, said, "Drama was a way of expressing myself outside of work. I've made lots of memories and had a good life."
And next, 3 items which you might
Stolen
call
dog is found in Hunt on Facebook. A woman whose dog was stolen 2 years ago has finally been reunited with her after an epic campaign on Facebook. Owner Tricia Joseph never gave up searching after beloved Springer Spaniel Belle was taken. Tricia joined 500 Facebook groups in the hope someone would recognise photos of her pet, and it paid off. when the dog turned up for sale 75 miles from Tricia's home in Defnynog, Mid Wales. A teenager who had kept Belle for 6 months in Worcester was shocked to find out she was stolen and immediately offered to hand her back. Gardener Tricia said, "As soon as we arrived to get her, we knew it was her. She was wagging with her whole body." Oh, isn't that lovely?
And I'm being picked on for buying 2 stolen penguins. A collector who tipped off cops is abused. Protesters are in a right flap over a man who unsuspectingly bought 2 stolen penguins. Like they're for sale everywhere, you know. Exotic animals collector Rhys Oliver, 27, picked up the Humboldts after seeing an ad on Facebook and planned to breed them. He had no idea that the 15-year-olds, which he named Pablo and Penny, had been swiped from a zoo last November until he scanned their microchips. Upon realising, he contacted the police. A man of 23 was held on suspicion of burglary and theft, but angry members of the public have targeted Rhys's home in Strelly, Nottinghamshire. He said 2 or 3 people came. They were shouting "penguin thief" and abusive things. The penguins were in bad health. If they had remained with the man, they'd have died. I had £1,000 in vet's fees. The penguins were stolen from South Lake Safari Zoo in Cumbria. Sergeant Andrew Browning of Nottinghamshire Police said there's no way we thought we would go down there and actually find 2 penguins. It was an unusual one. Even when we went down to custody, it made everyone laugh, particularly the custody sergeant booking us in.
Right, there's a stolen parrot found after a second break-in. A stolen parrot was returned to its family after police called to a separate burglary after police called to a second burglary. I can't say burglary. Recognised him. Ashley Macmillan, 24, stole Muto, an African grey worth up to £500, during a break-in on December the 2nd. He was arrested 4 days later after he was recognised on CCTV. But on Christmas Day, officers called to a burgled home 1 street away in Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, and found the stolen bird. Muto, said to be sold to the residents for £100, became an extra Christmas present when returned that day. His owner said, "We're delighted. We were very devastated to lose him." Macmillan admitted the burglary at Peterborough Crown Court on Friday and was jailed for 26 weeks, suspended for 18 months. Didn't know they hung them these days.
Right, and what else?
They should.
What else has been found recently?
The spot where wartime band leader Glenn Miller's plane crashed may have been found after 75 years. A fisherman has said he is convinced he pulled up the wreck with his nets in the channel in 1987. He dropped it back 30 miles off Portland Bill after Coast Guards advised it could be a war grave. But he only thought of it later on seeing photos of the plane which smashed with Miller in 1944. Divers are set to search the site later this year.
Yes, and if you've watched Michael Caine in the film Zulu, you'll be familiar with this. Rourke stripped Zulu weapons to fetch £50,000. A collection of Zulu artefacts featuring weapons used in the Battle of Rourke's Drift in 1879 is to go on sale for £50,000. It includes a rare Zulu battle shield and a traditional leopard headdress. Owner Michael Woodfield, 65, grew up near the barracks in Warwick that housed one of the units which fought in the Anglo-Zulu War. He said, "As a boy, my father took me to see the film Zulu, and I was struck by the bravery of the Zulu warriors as well as the 24th Regiment of Foot." Matthew Treadwin of C&T Auctioneers, Ashford, Kent, said that the defence of the mission station at Rourke's Drift was one of the most historic actions in British military history. And the sale has already happened. It was in January.
Hard Up World War I Heroes Watch is back in family. A war hero's family has bought back a gold pocket watch he was awarded for bravery but forced to sell in the Great Depression. Lieutenant Arthur Wardle won 2 gongs in the First World War while serving with the 2nd and 6th Battalion of the Durham Light Infantry. The people of Castletown, County Durham, presented him with the watch when he got home. But after losing his job in the pit during the crash of the early 1930s, Miner Arthur sold it, and probably his military cross and bar. The watch went to auction recently, and his son Alan won it for £2,000. Matthew Treadwin of C&T Auction of Ashford, Kent, said the watch was bought back by his family, who must be pleased. I bet the guy he gave the £2,000 to was pleased as well. Sort of feel, if they know whose it is, why don't they give it back free?
But yes, exactly.
Well, if you, like me, was a fan of the Beano, we're going to have a little bit of a laugh, one of our last items, which is some Beano jokes.